Good morning, students. In today's class we will see radiated fields of loop antennas and Huygens principle. Types of wire antennas. So dipole antenna, loop antenna and helix antenna are classified as wired antennas. Among this, we have already seen the characteristics, radiation field, radiation pattern, everything for a dipole antenna. Next category is the loop antenna. Loop antenna, it is going to be a closed structure forming a loop. The shape of the loop can be either circular or square, or it can also be any other shape. The third one is helix antenna. So in today's class we will proceed on with the loop antennas. Loop antennas. They are another simple, inexpensive and very versatile antenna type. Loop antennas may take different forms, as I told you earlier. It can take rectangle, square, triangle, ellipse, circle or any other configuration. Among all the different types of configuration, the circular loop is most common because of its simplicity in construction. Types of loop antenna. Loop antennas are usually classified into two main categories, namely electrically small antennas and electrically large antenna. As the name suggests, electrically small antennas is going to have a lesser length or circumference, usually represented as C. So if C is less than or equal to 1/10 of the wavelength, then it is called as electrically small antennas. If the circumference is going to be approximately equal to the free space wavelength lambda, then the antenna is named as electrically large loop antennas. Most of the applications of loop antennas are in three main categories of frequency bands. That is a high frequency ranging from 3 to 30 megahertz, very high frequency ranging from 30 to 300 megahertz, and ultra high frequency which ranges from 300 to 3000 megahertz. You will see the definition of loop antenna. Loop antennas with electrically small circumferences or perimeters have smaller radiation resistance that are usually smaller than their loss resistances. So basically loop antennas are classified as poor, very poor radiators. So they are seldomly employed in transmission side. Whenever they are used mainly as receiving mode. For example, in case of portable radios and pagers, where the antenna efficiency is not of very importance. They are also used as probes for field measurements and also used as directional antennas for radio wave navigations. The field pattern of electrically small antennas of any shape, circular, elliptical, rectangular or square, is similar to that of the infinitesimal dipole which we have already seen. And the field pattern is going to have a null perpendicular to the plane of the loop, and it is going to have the maximum along the plane of the loop. I told you already that the loop antennas are going to be very poor radiators with lesser radiation resistance value. There are many methods to increase the radiation resistance value. So the two important methods to increase them are number one, by increasing the perimeter or by increasing the number of turns or number of loops available in a loop antenna, we can increase the value of radiation resistance. So this is one of the methods. Another method to increase the radiation resistance is to insert a loop made up of ferrite with a very high permeability, so that the magnetic field intensity is increased, which in turn increases the radiation resistance. So such a type of loop we call as ferrite loop. So this is the diagrammatic representation of a small circular loop. So here you can see that the circular loop of radius represented by small a is placed in xy plane. So the maximum of the radiation is going to occur towards the z direction as the arrow mark is represented. The current is represented with I phi. The total field radiated of this small circular loop antenna is calculated by finding the field radiated for a small infinitesimal part of the continuous loop antenna, which is represented here as dl dash, which is equal to a d psi dash. Theta dash is equal to pi by 2, and we have the angles represented as phi and theta, and we have two distances represented as small r and capital R, where small r is the distance of the observation point from the origin, and capital R is the distance of the observation point from the small infinitesimal portion of the circular loop antenna that we have considered, where it is represented as the parameter dl dash. And the next diagram is the geometric representation for far field observation. The far field approximation, we already know that capital R will be equal to r minus a cos psi, where a is the radius of the circular loop and psi is the angle. And for the far field approximation, the vector small r and capital R will be parallel to each other. So the most convenient geometrical arrangement for the field analysis of a loop antenna is to position the antenna symmetrically on the xy plane, as we saw in the previous diagram, at z is equal to 0. So here we have I phi is equal to I naught, where I naught is a constant. So the procedure for calculating the field of a circular loop antenna is exactly similar to the procedure that we have seen for linear dipole antenna. So what is the procedure that we have seen? We have seen a two-step procedure, where first we have to calculate the vector potential capital A. From the vector potential we have to find the electric field and the magnetic field represented by E and H. So the similar procedure only we are going to see here for a circular loop also. So first we are starting with the electric vector potential function, which is capital A, which will be a function of x, y and z. We know the formula already, which is equal to mu by 4 pi integral over c I e x dash y dash z dash e power minus j kr by r dl dash. So in the above expression, capital R is the distance from any point on the loop to the observation point, and dl dash is an infinitesimal section of the loop antenna that we are considering. And in general, the current spatial distribution IE of x dash y dash z dash is written as IE of x dash y dash z dash is equal to the unit vector AX into IX x dash y dash z dash plus unit vector AY IY x dash y dash z dash unit vector AZ IZ into x dash y dash z dash. For the circular loop antenna of whose current is directed along a circular path, it would be more convenient to write the rectangular current components in terms of the cylindrical components using the transformation represented by equation 3. So the rectangular current components are represented by Ix, Iy, Iz, and the cylindrical components are represented by I rho, I phi and Iz. So from the matrix you can see that Iz in both the cases are same. So Iz is equal to Iz, Ix is equal to I rho cos phi dash minus I phi sin phi dash, Iy is equal to I rho sin phi dash plus I phi cos phi dash. Since the radiated fields are usually determined in spherical coordinates, that is in previous all derivations also we have seen the expressions are represented in terms of spherical components. So what we are going to do here is, we are going to convert the rectangular unit vectors into spherical unit vectors. That is, the rectangular unit vectors are AX, AY and AZ, They are represented in terms of AR, A theta and A phi, which are the spherical coordinates, spherical unit vectors, using the matrix formation of equation 5, using which we get the unit vector AX is equal to unit vector AR sin theta cos phi plus A theta cos phi minus A phi sin phi. Similarly, A phi is equal to AR sin theta sin phi plus A theta cos theta sin phi plus A phi cos phi. AZ is equal to AR cos theta minus A theta sin theta. So using the expression 5, we have converted the rectangular unit vectors into the corresponding spherical unit vectors. Substituting equation 4 and 6 in equation 2. So I have represented equation 2 again here. So equation 2 is having the current IE and it is having the parameters unit vectors, rectangular unit vectors AX, AY, AZ. So that has to be replaced by the unit vectors represented in terms of spherical coordinates, and it is also having the expression Ix, Iy and Iz. So that also has to be replaced by equation 4. So substituting both, we get the expression for the current IE as AR into I rho sin theta cos phi minus phi dash plus I phi sin theta sin phi minus phi dash plus Iz cos theta plus the theta component A theta into I rho cos theta cos phi minus phi dash plus I phi cos theta sin phi minus phi dash minus Iz sin theta. Finally, the phi component A phi of minus I rho sin phi minus phi dash plus I phi cos phi minus phi dash. So in the above expression, we can see that the primed components, that is rho dash, phi dash and Z dash, represents the source coordinates, and the unprimed components, that is r, theta and phi, it represents the observation coordinates. For a circular loop, the current is flowing only in the phi direction. In the diagrammatic representation of the small circular loop, I have represented the current as I phi. So we are going to consider only the I phi component of the current IE. So IE is equal to AR I phi sin theta sin of phi minus phi dash plus A theta I phi cos theta sin phi minus phi dash plus A phi I phi cos phi minus phi dash. That is, we are neglecting the components corresponding to AR and A theta, and we are considering only the component corresponding to A phi, since the current is going to flow only in the phi direction. Next is the expression for the distance capital R, which is it is the distance from any point on the loop to the observation point. We already know the expression for capital R as square root of x minus x dash the whole square plus y minus y dash the whole square plus z minus z dash the whole square, represented as equation 9. So x is equal to r sin theta cos phi, y is equal to r sin theta sin phi, z is equal to r cos theta. X squared plus y squared plus z squared is represented by r squared, and x dash is equal to a cos phi dash. So substituting everything in equation 9, equation 9 gets reduced to capital R is equal to square root of r squared plus a squared minus 2ar sin theta cos phi minus phi dash. So when we refer to the figure which we have already seen for a small circular loop antenna, the differential element length is represented by dl dash, which is equal to a into d phi dash. So substituting expression 8, 11 and 12 in the expression of the electric vector potential capital A, that is equation number 1, we get the expression for the phi component of the electric vector potential A phi as A into mu by 4 pi integral 0 to 2 pi I phi cos phi minus phi dash e power minus j k. Capital R is replaced as square root of r squared plus a squared minus 2ar sin theta cos phi minus phi dash divided by the same capital R which is represented as square root of r square plus a square minus 2ar sin theta cos phi minus phi dash into d phi. So how do you get the d phi? dl dash is represented as a into d phi dash. So a is written along with mu by 4 pi and d phi dash is written here inside the integration term, and it is represented as equation 13. Since the spatial current I phi is equal to I naught is constant, the field radiated by the loop will not be a function of the observation angle phi. Thus, any observation angle phi can be chosen. For simplicity, we are choosing the value of phi as 0. So, substituting phi is equal to 0 in equation 13, it gets reduced to a phi is equal to a mu I naught by 4 pi integral 0 to 2 pi cos phi dash e power minus jk square root of r square plus a squared minus 2ar sin theta cos phi dash by square root of r square plus a squared minus 2ar sin theta cos phi dash d phi dash. It is represented as equation 14. We can see that the expression a phi is quite complex, and to reduce this complex solution we are going to use a series called as Maclaurin series. A small integrand value is represented as function f. So f is equal to e power minus jk square root of r squared plus a squared minus 2ar sin theta cos phi dash by square root of r squared plus a squared minus 2ar sin theta cos phi. So this is a part of integrand of equation 14 that is expanded using a Maclaurin series, which is given by the expression f is equal to f of 0 plus f dash of 0 into a plus 1 by 2 factorial f double dash of 0 into a squared plus etc. up to plus 1 by n minus 1 factorial f power n minus 1 of 0 a power n minus 1 plus etc. So this is the series known as Maclaurin series, where f dash of 0 is dou f by dou a at a is equal to 0 and f double dash of 0 is equal to dou square f by dou a square at a equal to 0 and so forth. Taking into account only the first two terms, we get f of 0 is equal to e power minus jkr by r and f dash of 0 is equal to jk by r plus 1 by r square e power minus jkr sin theta cos phi dash, and f is approximately written as 1 by r plus a into jk by r plus 1 by r squared sin theta cos phi dash into e power minus jkr. So equation 14 reduces to a phi is approximately equal to a square mu I dash by 4 e power minus jkr into jk by r plus 1 by r square sin theta. So we have calculated the phi component of a. Similarly, we can calculate the r component and theta component using the Maclaurin series, the integration of which will become 0. So ultimately, since the current is flowing only in phi direction, a phi component alone will be present and ar and a theta will be equal to 0. So we saw that the electric vector potential capital A is going to have only the a phi component and the remaining two component is going to be 0. So the total electric vector potential capital A is approximately written as unit vector a phi into a phi. Substituting the expression for capital A phi, we get capital A is equal to unit vector a phi into a square mu I naught by 4 e power minus jkr into jk by r plus 1 by r square sin theta. So from the above expression, when we take jk by r as common outside, we get the expression for a as unit vector a phi into jk mu a square I naught sin theta by 4 pi into 1 plus 1 by jkr e power minus jkr. So we have completed with the first part of the derivation, where we have got the expression for the electric vector potential capital A. So now the second step is, from this capital A we have to find the H and E, the electric field and the magnetic field. So what is the expression relating magnetic field and the electric vector potential capital A? We already know H suffix A is equal to 1 by mu into del cross A. So substituting equation 17 in equation 18, we get the magnetic field components of the small circular loop antenna as HR is equal to J K A square I naught cos theta by 2R square into 1 plus 1 by JKR e power minus JKR. The theta component of the magnetic field is H theta, which is equal to minus Ka the whole square I naught sin theta by 4R into 1 plus 1 by JKR minus 1 by KR the whole square into e power minus JKR. Since the electric vector potential is available in phi direction, it means that electric field component is available in E phi direction. So obviously H phi component has to be equal to 0. And we know we have two expressions relating electric field and the electric vector potential. The first expression is del cross HA is equal to J plus J omega EA. The other expression is del dot A is equal to minus J omega epsilon mu phi E, where we can write phi E is equal to minus 1 by J omega mu epsilon del dot A. So either by using the equation 20A or by using equation 20B, we can get the expression for the electric field. So using 20B or 20A, if we are using 20A, we have to substitute capital J is equal to 0, which gives the electric field in R and theta component is equal to 0, and only the phi component of the electric field is available, which is equal to eta Ka the whole square I naught sin theta by 4R into 1 plus 1 by JKR e power minus JKR. Next is the power density and radiation resistance of a small circular loop antenna. The radiation resistance of a loop antenna is found by calculating W and PR. So W is equal to 1 by 2 E cross H conjugate. So we know that E is available only in E phi component and H is available as HR component and H theta component. So substituting that in the expression of W, we get W is equal to 1 by 2 minus AR E phi H theta conjugate plus A theta E phi HR conjugate. So we are going to consider only the radial component of the above expression, which is represented as WR. The radial component indicates the component corresponding to AR, unit vector AR. So WR becomes eta Ka power 4 by 32 magnitude of I naught the whole square sin square theta by R square into 1 plus J 1 by KR the whole cube. So we get this expression by substituting the equation of E phi and H theta conjugate in the above expression and considering only the unit vector AR component. The integration of the power density over a closed sphere contributes to the complex power PR. So PR is obtained by closed integral W into ds. Substituting for W, we get the expression for PR as eta pi by 12 Ka power 4 magnitude of I naught the whole square into 1 plus J 1 by KR the whole cube. The real part of the above expression gives the radiated power represented by P rad. So what is P rad? P rad is equal to eta pi by 12 Ka power 4 magnitude of I naught the whole square. The radiation resistance of the loop is obtained by equating the power radiated to the term magnitude of I naught the whole squared Rr by 2, where R suffix small r is the radiation resistance. The radiation resistance is obtained as Rr is equal to eta pi by 6 K square A square the whole square. The same parameter can be represented in terms of S and C, where S is the area of the circular loop and C is the circumference of the loop, where S is given by pi A square, where A is the radius of the loop, and C is the circumference given by 2 pi A, again where A is the radius of the circular loop. So So radiation resistance in terms of S can be represented as eta 2 pi by 3 Ks by lambda the whole squared, and in terms of C the same parameter is represented as 20 R square C by lambda the whole power 4, or approximately the radiation resistance is also equal to 31,171 into S squared by lambda power 4. The radiation resistance given in equation 26 is only for a single turn loop. As the number of turns increases, we can have the increased radiation resistance. In that case, if the loop antenna has n number of turns, then the radiation resistance of n turn circular loop antenna is given by product of single turn radiation resistance multiplied by n squared, where n is the number of loops available. So R is equal to eta 2 pi by 3 Ks square Ks by lambda the whole squared n squared, or it is also approximately equal to 20 pi squared C by lambda power 4 into n squared, or 31,171 n squared S squared by lambda power 4. So we will see a small problem for a circular loop antenna. Find the radiation resistance of a single turn and an 8-turn circular loop, where the radius of the loop is given by lambda by 25 and the medium is free space. So we already know that the area of a circular loop is S is equal to pi a square. Substituting a as lambda by 25, we get S is equal to pi lambda square by 625. Radiation resistance for a single turn is given by 120 pi 2 pi by 3 2 pi square by 625 the whole square, where we get the answer as 0.788 ohms. For an 8 term, the radiation resistance is given by RR is equal to 0.788 into 8 square. That is, we know that the radiation resistance of a n turn loop is equal to radiation resistance of a single turn multiplied by n square. In this formula, in this problem, n is given as 8. So 0.788 into 8 square, we are getting the answer as 50.43 ohms. So from the least value of 0.788, the radiation resistance has increased to 50.43 ohms. As the number of turns increases, the radiation resistance of the antenna can be increased. So next type of antenna is aperture antennas. Aperture antennas are most common at microwave frequencies. They may take the form of a waveguide or a horn whose aperture may be square, rectangular, circular, elliptical, or any other configuration. Aperture antennas are very practical for space applications because they can be flush mounted on the surface of any spacecraft or aircraft. So whenever we are placing the aperture antennas on any ground, we have to consider the edge effects. The edge effects due to the finite size of the ground plane to which the aperture is mounted can be taken into account by using many diffraction methods. So most commonly used diffraction method is GTD, called as geometrical theory of diffraction. The field solution rely primarily not on the current distribution. We have seen that in previous all linear wire antennas, we have calculated the radiation field using the current distribution. But now in this case, the current distribution is not considered. We are going to use approximation of field on or in the vicinity of the antenna structure. One such approximation method that is used is field equivalence principle, which is also known as Huygens principle. The field equivalence principle or the Huygens principle. The field equivalence is a principle by which the actual sources such as an antenna or a transmitter are replaced by an equivalent sources. The fictitious sources are said to be equivalent within a region because they produce the same fields within that region. Huygens principle states that each point on a primary wavefront can be considered to be a new source of a secondary spherical wave, and that a secondary wavefront can be constructed as the envelope of these secondary spherical waves. By the equivalence principle, the fields outside an imaginary closed surface can be obtained by placing over a closed surface with a suitable electric and magnetic current densities which satisfy the boundary conditions. The current densities are selected so that the fields inside the closed surface are 0 and outside they are equal to the radiation produced by the actual sources. Thus, the technique can be used to obtain the fields radiated outside a closed surface by sources enclosed within it. So this is the diagrammatic representation of the Huygens principle, where we have the actual problem represented in figure A and the equivalent problem represented in figure B. The equivalence principle is developed by considering an actual radiating source which electrically is represented by the current densities J1 and M1 in figure 1. The source is going to radiate the field E1 and H1 everywhere as represented in the figure A. We have E1 and H1 represented in both the cases, inside the surface as well as the outside the surface. It is desired to develop a method that will yield a field outside a closed surface. To accomplish this, a closed surface S is chosen as shown in the dotted diagram in figure A as well as in figure B. In figure A, it is enclosed by the current densities J1 and M1. The volume within S is denoted by V1 and the volume outside S is denoted by V2. The primary task is to replace the original problem given in figure A by figure B, which is an equivalent one that yields the same fields E1 and H1 outside the closed surface, that is within the volume V2. The original sources J1 and M1 in figure 1, that is the actual problem, is removed, and we assume that there exists E and H inside the surface S and the fields E1 and H1 outside the surface S. For these fields to exist within and outside S, they must satisfy the boundary conditions on the tangential electric and the magnetic field components. Thus, on the imaginary surface S, there must exist the equivalent sources and they radiate into an unbounded space, same medium everywhere. So the condition to be satisfied are Js is equal to n cap cross H1 minus H and Ms is equal to minus n cap cross E1 minus E. The current densities given above are said to be equivalent only within V2 because they produce the original field E1 and H1 only outside the surface S. The fields E, H are different from the original fields E1 and H1 within the volume V1. Only outside the surface S, that is volume V2, we have the fields E1 and H1 in case of first figure as well as the second figure. So this is the basic concept of field equivalence principle, which is called as the Huygens principle. By satisfying certain boundary condition, we are trying to find an equivalent field outside the closed surface. Thank you.